Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to The Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with the Springs Real Estate Authority. That is Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that the Springs has to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. And we air the Real Estate Voice show every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just go ahead and search Barb Schlinker, Schlinker, on all of the popular podcast platforms like iHeart Radio, etc. Now, every week, the Real Estate Voice covers great information about people's primary assets, that is, their home. So, Barb, what will we be talking about today?
Well, the first one I want to talk about is finding a buyer for your home. So if you are thinking of making a move, I have a whole segment, the first segment dedicated to how I will find a buyer for your home. And then the second topic we're going to cover is how do real estate agents actually get houses to sell? How does that work? Because not every home sells, believe it or not. And then the third topic is a little bit more education on how to price your home correctly so it does not sit on the market too long. That's the worst case scenario. And the last item I love talking about are the luxury homes. So tips on how to sell luxury $1 million homes, and of course, our hot new listings. Richard?
Boy, I'm looking forward to that. Barb, the market has certainly changed in the last 8 months or so, causing some people to wonder if their home will ever sell. We know your site is named Barb Has the Buyers, and I know from referring my own friends and relatives that you come up with buyers for homes all of the time. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I know the press is telling everybody the sky is falling, but the market actually is doing fairly well. If you look back a year, the average annual appreciation was almost 10%. There are still buyers out there. The only thing is there was a little bit of sticker shock going on because we saw the rates hovering at 3% for years and years and years. In fact, a bulk of the buyer population thought that was a normal interest rate. So when the Fed stepped on the gas, took it all the way to 7, it's kind of walked back a little bit into the mid 6s. It made it somewhat unaffordable for some people because the prices went up, but it's still a good market. So that's part of what we do is we find a way to make sure that we're marketing homes to command all the buyers in the buyer population at the time that you go on the market. And not every agent works that way. Most of them do what the typical agent does. They take some happy snaps, or maybe they have professional photos taken. They throw the house on the MLS and hope and pray somebody else has a buyer. And then kind of the way that the big tech companies like Zillow and Realtor.com work is that they will sell buyer leads to agents based on zip codes, right? So if a new home hits the market and a buyer wants to see it, and that agent paid for that zip code, they might get a buyer to go, hey, can I see that home? And the agent picks up the phone and goes, oh, yeah. And is it available? Let me check. They go up on their computer, they check it out. Sure enough, it's available. And the first question is, when would you like to see it? So in most cases, agents meet the buyer at the house. That's their first meeting. They don't know if they can buy a couch on Craigslist, let alone buy your home. And it's kind of frustrating for home sellers because the assumption is that when a buyer's coming to your house, they have the ability to perform, willingness to buy that home with that style. But in fact, a lot of times the agents don't have any idea either what the buyers want or whether or not they qualify. So part of what we do is, first of all, we have to create demand because we know that buyers eliminate homes based on the online presentation. So we do that first. And then we actually go out and try to market to get the buyer. And you know, it's interesting. If you look at Redfin and Zillow, look at the very first question you see on those websites. Both of them say, want to see it, want to see it, want to see it. So the whole system is almost set up where the first meeting with the agent is at the house. Even Redfin pays these showing agents. They pay them by the showing. They don't know anything about the house. In fact, one of the things that we struggle with at our office is many of the agents don't even read the listing service. They don't read the detail about the property. So imagine they're supposedly showing up to represent the buyer, to help the buyer buy one of their largest assets, and they can't even read one piece of paper. It's a huge source of frustration for me. And I call the Redfin showing agents licensed door openers, basically. We also call those Pop-Tart agents, or they pop out of the toaster, show up at the house, and just hope it works out. And we tried it, we tested it. It doesn't work for us. We never close on those. So we work a little bit differently with our buyers. We meet with them. We find out what they can afford, first of all, and also what they're looking for. So we're not wasting anybody's time. We often see this Pop-Tart agent also at our open houses. In fact, some of the agents don't even bother to show up there. They'll go, oh, if you like it, why don't you go to the open house? And if you like it, I'll sit right here in my home office and I'll write a 10-minute contract and I'll make thousands of dollars. Doesn't that sound great, Richard?
Easy money, I guess. That doesn't sound too personal, and it certainly doesn't sound like the kind of relationship I would want with somebody who is representing me, whether I'm buying or selling. That person is a lot more like you.
Right. And so we advertise Barb Has a Buyers because we do have thousands of buyers on our website. Right now, we're right at 27,000 buyers that have given us their contact information that are looking for homes. And typically, we can find at least 100 that are a high match for any home. And we bring those to you when we first meet. So if you are thinking of making a move in the next 2 to 6 months and you want a free consultation on how we match a buyer to your home, go to barbhasthebuyers.com and click on the button. So click on any button on the website and reach out to us, basically, and we will get back to you and set up a time. Or you could call us at 719-301-3900. And if you're thinking of moving later in the year and you just want a little bit of information, there's lots of great stuff and video on my website, but you can also download this great free report entitled The Top 7 Tips to Get Your House Ready to Sell for Top Dollar. And you can get that at barbhasthebuyers.com. Click on the free reports button, green button at the top, or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to The Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you can always reach Barb and her team at 719-301-3900. We're talking about the shift in the real estate market. Barb, where do you think this real estate market is headed right now?
Well, it's interesting. We actually did see a fairly recent shift and reduction in the price from its peak. So if you look back in April of 2022, that was kind of the peak. The new stats that just came out indicate the average price has dropped from that peak of over $71,000. But if you go back a whole year, the average price actually went up almost 10%. So I think what happened is we just had these big surge in prices because the live in your home buyer had to compete with all these big tech companies that were trying to deploy cash to buy and hold rental real estate. And sometimes they could not compete. So it was really fun if you were a seller up until then. But once the rates started going up and homes started being less affordable, and at the same time, these big tech companies quit buying as many homes, we didn't have bidding wars anymore. So sellers got frustrated. Homes didn't sell as quickly. Actually, just for the month of December in our market, 31% of home sellers took their homes off the market unsold. However, I had my second best month ever in the month of December. Not to worry, it's not the sky is falling. It was interesting. I watched a blog last night that was really good. That he found some kind of supply chain numbers somewhere that indicated future supply chains. So we might have slower demand going into the next couple of months as compared to what we have seen. But he goes, if you put it in perspective and you compare it to the European markets, real estate in the United States is probably the most reasonably priced ever. Most of the places over Europe and all that, the average person can't afford a home. So it's okay. It's going to be fine. There's still a lot of demand. There's a lot of people that need to buy homes. It's just that Wall Street quit buying for a while, but they might get back in the game. So if you are thinking of selling and you want to find out what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, have us bring over a list of buyers that are a high match for your home. Go to barbhasthebuyers.com or give us a call at 719-301-3900 because I think it's still a good market. And if you're not ready right now, there's lots of great information on my website, barbhasthebuyers.com. We have this great free report called the Top 7 Tips to Get Your House Ready for Top Dollar. And you can order that report by going to barbhasthebuyers.com, click on the green button in the upper left-hand corner, or just give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to The Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how do agents get houses to sell in Colorado. Stay tuned for that.